So the conical pendulum, there's a video of that you should have been able to see. But in that video, what I have is I have some mass that's hanging from a string, and I'm able to kind of make it go in a horizontal circle. And watch the video. And so this question is relating to that. So for the conical pendulum, as it's undergoing the circular motion, the string is making angle theta, and these diagrams show the path that the ball is following. You kind of, with a lot of circular motion problems, you need more than one view to fully describe it. So the side view shows that, oh, it's a horizontal circle, and the top view shows that, oh, it is a circle, not a back and forth motion. All right, so the question says, draw a free body diagram for the ball, of the ball for the side view at time t0. So the question kind of fixes me at this snapshot. And I guess I could draw free body diagram on this diagram, but I prefer to draw free body diagram separately. Because it's your analytical tool. You're going to be making a lot of notations and other things. It really works out nicely when you have a nice big diagram where you can apply the standard strategy. So this dot represents my ball of mass m. Thinking at this for a bit, there should be only two forces on this ball: gravity and tension. There's nothing else that can be applying any kind of force on this ball. So let me write those in. There's gravitational force, mg, and there's tension force going off at an angle. And I might do a little bit of a geometry to figure out that angle theta. It's this angle theta here. So, all right. Then as you are drawing the free body diagram, you should always be asking this question of yourself. Does this look complete? And especially because this particular diagram represents net force, which is pointed this way, which means you have acceleration pointed that way. And as you think about it, or after you have thought about it, your answer should be yes. It looks complete. You should have this acceleration. That is the centripetal acceleration. That is the acceleration that points to the center of the circle. And and when the ball is over here, it'll be pointing this way. But yeah, you have the centripetal acceleration, and that's the thing that makes a lot of circular motion problems tricky, because it's easy to forget that the ball is accelerating when it's moving in a circle. So all right, so that's my free body diagram. Part B says, given the angle theta, the swim is vertical, find the speed of the ball and the radius of the circular path. So this is where I had to finish the rest of the standard strategy. Let me just write out the steps for the standard strategy as a reminder. I guess I don't know if you want to write out this scratch work on the example. There's going to be enough space. Step 1, which I just did, is draw free body diagram. I just did that, so I don't need to do it again. Step number 2 is define coordinate axis. So I need to do that. And I'm just going to use the diagram that I already drew to make all these notations. That's why I drew these arrows nice and big, so that it's easy for me to make those notations. So I identify the direction of acceleration. So that's going to be my x-axis direction. I'm doing this in a different color so that I don't confuse. Well, I say I'm doing, let me do it with a dotted line so the color is not the only thing distinguishing them. As you are making notations on your free body diagram, one thing you need to be careful with is that whatever additional things you're drawing are not confused with the force. This looks like a two-dimensional problem, so let me make sure that I label this as my y-axis. So okay, I've done that. I defined my axis with one of the axes pointing along the direction of acceleration. And third step is break forces into components. So when you look at the gravitational force, that's already along the direction of a y-axis. So I don't need to break it down. It's the tension that needs to be broken down into components, into y component of tension and the x component of tension. And so this is the right angle. And I already identified this angle here. So this is the adjacent side. So this should be t cosine theta. And this is the opposite side to the angle. So this should be t sine theta. All right. So with all that done, the only remaining step is writing down Newton's second law equations. So here I'm going to be writing down two equations, one for the x direction, one for the y direction. So let me write that down for part B. So steps 1 through 3, all those take place on the free body diagram. Once again, that's why I draw a nice big free body diagram. So I have enough space to do these things without getting things confused with other things. Okay, so my net force equation, net force along the x-axis, only the x component of tension is in that direction. So let me write that down as t sine theta. This is why I draw the triangles. Is equal to mass times acceleration. And here I might just go one more step because I happen to know this is a centripetal acceleration. So it should be equal to v squared over r, where the v is the tangential speed and r is the radius of the circle. All right, let's keep going. So net force in the y direction is equal to, I now have two forces, t cosine theta minus mg, oh wait, this should be in capital. Yeah. That's equal to, the ball is not accelerating in the vertical direction, so that should add up to 0. So that's my two Newton's second law equations, and this completes the standard strategy. And as you, so in the previous exam once, sometimes after you're done with the standard strategy, it was just one step away from solving the problem. But now that we are more sophisticated, our questions are more interesting, you might find that when you're done here, you still have quite a few number of steps. So watch out for that and be ready to continue analyzing the question and not say that you're done after writing down Newton's second law equations. So, so yeah, this is what I have. I have an equation for tension, which I guess I can just solve it for tension. It's one equation with one unknown. So solving it for tension, I get big mg divided by cosine theta. All right, I can plug that into the first equation so that I don't have to deal with an unknown that the question's not asking about and I don't want to deal with. So plugging that in, I get mg sine theta over cosine theta, or so it's so that it's not cumbersome. Let me just rewrite that as tangent theta because that's what it is. Tangent theta is equal to m v squared over r. All right. So the question was asking, find the speed of the ball and the radius of the circular path. Okay, we are going somewhere because two of the quantities are those two quantities being asked, v and r. And I can cancel out and masses cancel out. Now the problem here is I only have one equation and I have two unknowns. Whenever you see that, whenever you see more unknowns than your equations, that should be a hint to you that you need more information. You have some additional information you need to write down, and that additional information will almost always, or it can always be written down in the form of an equation. Um, so here, let me try to do that. So here, I guess this is kind of, this is the difficult part to try to explain the motivation for, because there's almost an intuitive leap that you have to make. I guess some of my thought process would go this way. I'm looking at this V and R, and I would look at, is there a way I can relate V and R? One of the ways I can relate V and R is through kinematics, because this is speed, and this is relates to distance. So if I'm looking back at this here, this would be R, and V is the speed at which this ball is moving. So I can kind of look at, all right, so the way to relate speed to distance is to say that this is speed is distance over time. So I could say speed V is equal to, the distance would be the circumference, 2 pi r divided by period. But then period is another thing that I don't know. Maybe there's, so this seems like a dead end to me, because in order to relate V and R, I wrote down another equation, but then that ended up introducing another unknown. So I haven't moved forward at all. So, all right, sometimes some methods you try will reach a dead end. So it's a kind of a trial and error thing. So once you recognize that, then all right, done with that particular branch. Let's keep thinking. So if relating V and R together didn't work, then is there another way to get at these expressions for V and R? V, I feel like is harder to get at, because it's a dynamical quantity. So let me try R. And looking at that above there, I realized that when I marked that R, you can mark that R in the side view. And if you do, this will be your R. And that R is part of this right triangle. And okay, I'm getting some error here. The length of the string was given L. So R can be expressed in terms of L and theta. It's equal to L sine theta. So, all right, so let me plug that in. I think that'll get me where I want to go. So plug that in here. I get G tangent theta is equal to V squared over L sine theta. So I can, this is already expression in terms of L and theta for R. And I can solve this for V. When I do that, I get V is equal to square root of L times G times sine theta times tangent theta. And this is an expression for V in terms of just the given quantities, L, G, and theta. M canceled out, so I didn't need it. All right, good. Let's keep going. So once you have this expression, then in part C, it's just asking you to basically plug in the numbers. It's asking for what is the angle theta that the string makes with the vertical. Yeah, I guess you can just plug in the numbers into V, and I mean, the one challenging thing is, let me write it here. V is equal to square root of LG sine theta and tangent theta. This is something that you will face from time to time with these trigonometric expressions, that this equation, once now it's asking for the angle theta, it does have only one unknown, but then it has these two expressions. So you might find it useful to kind of rewrite it in terms of their basic trig expressions. So then tangent theta is a sine over cosine, so it's LG sine squared theta over cosine theta. Then, oh, then you can rewrite this sine squared theta as 1 minus cosine squared theta. And then I think then you can finish this solving it for cosine theta. And once you solve it for cosine theta, then you can get to theta using arc cosine. So there's quite a bit of math involved here. So that's why you are given plenty of space. So you can, I think most people can work that out on your own. So let me skip through this so that I can use the remaining 30 minutes more productively. Part of this is just a numerical exercise. Yeah, plug in the numbers. I guess the point of this was that it's not a linear relationship. It's a relationship that's more complicated than linear.